Why, oh why, oh why would I fly all the way to Islay to bring home English single cask whiskey? Who knows? But I did. Hi there, my name is Lewis and welcome to the Neckpour. This is a whiskey review channel where I give you my thoughts and opinions on a particular bottle from the Neckpour all the way down to the Dregs. Join me here today for the Neckpour of another bottle that I brought home from Islay, another one from the Indie Whiskey Night, and this one is a Fielden single cask, single grain English rye from Rhythm and Booze Records. Super interesting people running both an independent bottlers and a record company at the same time. Absolute madness. Really, really interesting guys and making great music themselves. But yeah, single grain whiskey, not always my favourite. Rye whiskey, not always my favourite. And Fielden, not a distillery. I've loved their releases in the past. But this one managed to find its way into my bag on the way back home. How did it happen? Who knows? But yeah, without any further ado, let's get this poured. We'll have a bit more of a chat about it and then smell and taste through it together. Firstly, let's get this open. Have a little listen to the cork. Great cork pop on that. Really, really good. Pour ourselves a little dram. Lovely cork there. So yeah, Rhythm and Booze Records, as I say, they're both a record label and an indie bottler. Each bottle is done promoting in partnership with a particular band. This one's the Mud Club, and that's who's pictured on the front of the bottle. And this is, yeah, as I say, it's a single cask Fielden whiskey. Fielden used to be the Oxford Artisanal Distillery, then became Fielden, then moved out of Oxford. There's rumours of them starting back up in Oxford. The stuff when it moved to Yorkshire became less good. This is an old cask, an old distillation that was from the original Oxford site. Super interesting distillery, super interesting stills. Hybrid stills, so a mixture of column and pot still at the same time, called Nautilus and Nemo, named after the 2000 Leagues Under the Sea. And if you have a little Google and look them up, you can see why. Really steampunk, really weird. And yeah, when they got sort of bought out, taken over, it was deemed they were a massive health and safety risk. And so that site was basically closed and it all moved up to Yorkshire. The production quality, in my opinion, probably dipped because all the stuff I tried was after that point. It was all releases after they'd moved, and I was never that impressed. But I remember tasting this and loving it. However, it was at the end of a long day, a lot of whiskey had been consumed, so now we've got back, is it quite as good? So with 50% here, there's no talk on the bottle about whether it's non-chill filtered or natural colour. However, after speaking to the guys that are behind this, because again, we're at such a small scale here, you're not talking to reps, you're not talking to managers, you're not talking to marketing people, you are talking to the people who are putting this in bottle. I would be shocked if they were to put caramel in this. I'd be shocked if they were to be chill filtering it. But like I said, it doesn't say. I'm not 100% certain, but that would be my opinion. Very small batch, one of 143 bottles. And yeah, really, really interesting people, really, really interesting stuff. And without any further ado, let's get it up to the nose. First thing I get on the nose, celery salt. That very sort of specific celery flavour, that very sort of specific dried seasoning flavour. Mixing that with lots and lots of fresh cut fennel. A little bit of green cardamom pods. And a kind of undefined sweetness. I'm not sure where it's coming from. I'm not sure what sort of sweetness it is, but there is certainly a sweetness there. It's quite a sweet nose. As with a lot of grain whiskey, though, even only at 50%, there is a prickle. It's not hot. It's not burning. It's not making me struggle to keep my nose in there. But I can certainly smell every bit of that 50% in the way that a lot of malt whiskies are a bit more comfortable at that percentage. But yeah, super, super interesting stuff. Let's give it a taste. Again, a bit like the nose, there's one distinct first flavour that comes through. And for me, that's lots and lots of dried dill. But this is like throwing the whole spice cupboard in your mouth, all of the herbs, all of the spices, all at once, and just watching them all macerate in there and go crazy. Different bits kind of pop out at different stages along the journey. I'm getting lots and lots of ginger, not super hot ginger, like stem ginger in syrup, super sweet. Heaps of caramel towards the end of the palate, and I really do mean heaps of caramel. And then there's a nice bit of, to me, I think it's cloves is the spice that's coming through most distinctively, because it's that little bit hot, little bit sweet, very strong flavour, but not overwhelming everything else, but just sliding through, but without overpowering. And again, with plenty of time, I think there'd be hundreds and hundreds of other flavours that could come out of there. But it's going to take a bit of time to sit there and dissect them, and a bit of time getting used to rye. It's not a spirit category I've ever spent too much time with. I'm not anywhere near an expert on the matter. I've tried maybe 1 or 2 American rye whiskies at a tasting before. Never been super blown away. This, however, might be the start of a bit of a rye journey for me, because that's a very, very good palate. Moving through to the finish, that caramel just carries on. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden, it just drops off a cliff, and we get super vegetal. I'm not certain what the vegetalness is, but it's something green and cooked. But like cooked, boiled green vegetables at home, it's really interesting. To a lot of people, that probably sounds absolutely disgusting. And again, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but it gets sweeter and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, and then all of a sudden finishes savoury, which is weird, but super cool. And again, with that savouriness, you get lots more of that rye character coming through. That kind of real grainy, but also herbaceousness mixing with that greenness right at the end, and a little bit of wood. And then it's kind of done. Finishes quite abruptly in quite a traditional single grain way. But yeah, that caramel, I'm not surprised by. Doing a little bit of research online, I know that the original Fielden stills at Oxford, they used to put all of the husks into the first still. Please forgive my ignorance. I can't remember which of the 2 stills it was, out of Nemo or Nautilus, but a very traditional wash then spirit still setup. But yeah, all of the husks went into the wash still, and they deliberately allowed them to burn on the bottom to release all that additional caramel into the whiskey, and then cut it before all the burnt taste came through, which is such an interesting and clever way of doing it. And something I've never heard anyone else doing, and it must have been a nightmare to clean, given how porridgey rye grain is when it's steeped. Because, yeah, I don't begrudge them having to do that. But no, absolutely cracking stuff. And this, for 65 quid, is so interesting. It's so unlike anything else I own. And it really scratches an itch I didn't actually know was there. So maybe this is the start of a little rye journey for me. Maybe I'll have to look into a couple of other bottles, because I know there's the Arbiki stuff. They put out some rye, like Rye Law. I know there's obviously the rest of the Fielden stuff. I know the Hartcut have got a Fielden out there. Although I'm not usually a fan of 50 centilitre bottles, maybe given this, I'll have to look into that one. But yeah, if there's any other good stuff in the world of rye that you know of, please let me know, particularly if it's this side of the Atlantic. But if it's great stuff from America as well, do also let me know, particularly if I can get it for a decent price. But yeah, I think I need to spend a bit more time pondering this one, so I think that's where we'll leave it for today. Firstly, I'd just like to thank you all so much for joining me. It really does mean the world to me that you take time out of your busy day to spend a little bit of it with me. If you've enjoyed the video, please do consider hitting the like button down below. It does really help the video get out there to as many people as we can. If you've got any thoughts on this particular bottle, have met the guys from Rhythm and Booze, or you've got any rye recommendations, please get down in the comments below. I'll be sure to get back to you. If you've really enjoyed the video, please do consider hitting that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're informed next time I post. Really does mean the world to me. But other than that, until the next time, I'd just like to say cheers, Salancha, and I'll see you again.